Hey there, everybody. Welcome to a new Power Book 2 Ghost discussion. And here, we've got a lot to get into because the premiere is only days away. It feels like it has been forever since Power was on.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with the show.
There's such a simpler time back when Power. All we had to be upset about when Power ended was potentially the ending of Power. And now we've got a million different things. But this show, it's got a lot to look forward to. There's a lot of intriguing stuff. And what we're going to get into here are 5 different things we are especially excited to be addressed when Power Book 2 Ghost premieres. We'll have all sorts of coverage coming this weekend. But before we dive into this, if you enjoy this discussion, subscribe to the channel, give us a like, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any more of them. And if you do want to support us further, check the links in the description to our Patreon. We have benefits, all sorts of cool stuff over there, and also our store.
So one of the things that I'm really looking forward to see how it's going to play out is how Tariq killing Ghost is really going to affect him. I don't want to see it where it's kind of glossed over or he's so hardened that it doesn't affect him at all. I mean, this is still his dad, and he had built up this such a hatred for him and so upset with him and such a betrayal feeling inside of him that I feel that after he does what he did, it has to affect him going forward. So I want to see that kind of struggle where he's dealing with that, dealing with his feelings, and how he's going to resolve some of that.
I think the biggest thing to remember, and it's a total like eye roll. Okay, this is obvious, but it still needs to be stated. Tariq is basically still a kid in a lot of ways. I mean, he doesn't exactly have the mentality of a kid anymore after everything that he's been through. But we're still talking about someone who is very, very young. Ghost, when we first met him, he was much more of a grown adult. He had been through a different set of experiences, and maybe he reacts to the traumas of his life differently than someone like Tariq has. And I think it's going to be a total misfire if they don't sort of see Tariq being haunted to some degree. Maybe not to the sense where we see Omari show up like on screen or anything, but
Oh man, I would love that sort of Dexter style where his dad is haunting him and kind of he's almost like having to look over his shoulder all the time and be reminded of what he's done, because not only has he done it to his dad, but this is now his mom is in jail, so he's done it to her too.
Ghost is in the title of the show. May we remind all of us of this once more, that if you don't have Ghost, the actual first Ghost, be a big part of this, it's gonna be just sort of like a why did you name the show this if you didn't want to honor Ghost's legacy?
Yeah, they needed to sort of get away from that a little bit. At least just call it Tariq, because it is about him. I know they're trying to move it into this idea where Tariq is the new Ghost, or he's carrying on Ghost's legacy and that sort of thing. So I get it, but he's not Ghost.
All right, the second thing I think we're especially excited about here is the question of, will Tasha get out of prison? And I guess to go along with that, how she would get out of prison, because I think a lot of us feel like Tasha's not going to spend every single episode of Power Book 2 behind bars.
I really hope she doesn't. This isn't what I want to see for Tasha. And she went through a lot during Power, and the end where she's taking the rap for something she didn't do and going to jail for it is just kind of miserable. So I am hoping that she's going to get out. That would be satisfying for me, but yeah, the how? Interested to see how that unfolds this season.
Because it really does feel right now like it is if Tasha gets out, Tariq goes in. Like, that's just how I sort of read this right now. And I don't need this to be something that's resolved early. Like, I don't need Tasha to be out of prison in episode 2 or episode 3. If you do it in the finale, at least I'll feel like it is a good, consistent arc where we have an emotional journey for Tasha, because I want the Tasha when she gets out of prison to be different than the Tasha that went into prison. And I'm not saying that Tasha going into prison was a character who couldn't, stand on her own on this show, but I want to see evolution here.
Yeah, me too. And I am very curious if this season of Power Book 2 is going to end with Tariq in prison. because it does feel like it could go that way. He has killed multiple people now,
Yeah.
and it looks like we're moving into another drug storyline. And so, could it work out like that? It might.
It's also just like, who else is going to end up going to jail for this if it's not Tariq at this point? There's not that many people you can sort of frame based on everything that we saw, unless he really tries to put the gears to certain things. But I don't know. But we'll get into the third thing, and we all can probably agree that Mary J. Blige is probably going to be a very big part of this show. She's a very big name. She's somebody who was pretty much announced from the moment that this show was announced. And her character of Monet seems like she's going to be sort of the connect to Tariq within her own personal drug empire. But we've seen so many connects, drug dealers, leaders of empires, kingpins, whatever you want to call them on Power. What makes Monet different from the Alicia Jimenez, from Lobos, from a Ghost, a Tom, like all of these other characters we've seen over the years?
I'm just really excited to see another female kingpin come in, because Alicia is really the only other one that we've had. It has been more male dominated. So to have someone moving in like Monet, I'm interested to see how it's going to go down.
It's also, like, I think the promotion of this sort of sells her that, okay, maybe she's like a female Ghost on some level. Like, it does seem like Monet's got some family that could be a part of the show in its own way, but I don't think Power, at least I hope that Power's not just like, let's play back the hits and let's just give the exact same storyline to Monet that we gave to Ghost. I do want her to be different. I want her to make different choices than Ghost made. I mean, of course, because Ghost died, and, I don't want to set that up for Monet from the get-go here.
Yeah, I don't want to see the same thing play out, but I don't think we're going to.
The fourth thing, and this is all about Tariq, because I think one of the biggest criticisms a lot of people have for Tariq is, for a guy his age, a lot of things, I'm not saying everything was handed to him by any means, like he did have a good bit of adversity, but he was also able to sort of get his feet wet in the drug empire without as much trouble. I need to see a lot of things go wrong for Tariq, because he really should not know what he is doing, at all.
No, he's really young, and while he had a little bit of mentorship, he didn't have a lot, and a lot of things did work out in his favor. I mean, him killing Ghost makes sense because that's his dad, right? He could easily just call him up and be like, hey, I'm coming to see you. All right, come on in. He has the most access to him. But the rest of it that was going on, selling in school and everything with Ray Ray and all of that, it did feel like it came really easy to him. So I really want to see some adversity for him. I don't want it to be really easy where he just meets up with Monet and away we go sort of thing. I know he's got to make a lot of money to be able to pay for his mom's lawyer.
A lot.
But there needs to be a struggle. If I'm going to watch him grow into this business, I need to watch him grow into the business. And that means he's going to have some stumbles. He needs to.
Yeah. He really, really needs to. He needs to have danger, because that's a big part of Power. It's that threat that something terrible is going to happen at any given second. Just ask Dre. Didn't mean to just conjure Dre up out of nowhere, but that's still that Proctor, most brutal Power deaths in my head.
Yeah, that was crazy.
It was Spanky, most hilarious Power death in my head, but that's neither here nor there. Finally, though, I think the final thing we're curious about here, because we know this is a franchise. This is like the Power cinematic universe. How many other Power cameos are we going to foreseeably get on book 2?
This is one that I feel is a given, and I could be wrong and take an L on this, and maybe it's just because I really want to see him, but because he's going to have his own spin-off Tommy, I feel that with Tasha in jail and Tariq, everything that happened between the two of them, and Tommy's been part of that family for a really long time. That's his godson. Tasha's basically his sister. This is somebody that I'm going to be really surprised if he doesn't have a phone call with Tasha, because besides talking to her lawyer and her son, she doesn't have anybody anymore. I mean, Ghost is gone, Keisha's gone, everybody's gone. All she really has is Tommy. So I would be surprised if she didn't at least try to make a call out to him.
I think it'd be perfect if Tommy did show up too, because it is kind of like maybe it suits the story, and then beyond that, it's a great little teaser for what is now apparently Power Book 4. It's no longer Book 5, which is the Tommy spinoff. So it's a good way to kind of keep Tommy in the headlines. And, you know, we can presume that there could be a way, given his new position, that Tate could show up in here at some shape or form.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised by that. We know Sax is going to be a part of this.
Yep.
Maybe Blanca shows up in some shape or form as well.
Yeah, maybe.
I think in general, we'll probably have, I'm gonna put my bet in here. I'm gonna say we have at least 3 cameos that are from characters who have not been previously announced to be on book 2 this season.
I think that's a pretty fair guess. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair.
Yeah, I don't need to see every cast member who was ever on Power. Angela does not need to be showing up from beyond the grave.
No, I'm done with Angela.
I think we just need, this doesn't need to be a cameo parade, but give us just some elements of, okay, this is where we came from, make people happy, make me happy.
Yeah, and I feel because it is a franchise now and they do have so many other spin-offs, it makes sense to have just a couple of those cameos in this to remind people that they are coming, get people a little bit excited. If you do have a phone call with Tommy and he's out in LA, what does that look like? What is Tommy doing out there? You can give us a little taste of what is happening in LA for Tommy.
Here's my number one most likely. You know Ghost Kanan's turning up at some point.
For sure.
50s, still an EP, you got book 3 coming. If Ghost Kanan's popping up and he'll have some words of, I don't know, wisdom to say to Tariq at some point.
Or some kind of flashback, maybe.
Yeah. If Kanan is not here, I will be stunned. But what do you guys want to see on book 2? What are you the most excited about? Share in the comments. And if you did enjoy this video, give us a like, subscribe, support us further. Check those links to the store and our Patreon, and we'll see you here next time.